and I embrace everything, and I want people to remember me, but I have to also make sure that when I leave an impression, yeah, it's got to be a positive one.
Hi guys, welcome to Bigger Than the Hustle podcast, where I bring you real conversations with entrepreneurs on how they live their life outside business. Every week we deep dive into the energy, the motivations, the disciplines, the habits, and the lifestyles which make them successful in their life, which allows them to be successful outside their business as well. Now, today I've got an old friend of mine, Bob. Now, we met, so I'm in the home technology business, as you guys know, and I met Bob when he was in the same industry as me. And since then, Bob has changed his whole life for the right reasons. He's done some things which his journey is a really interesting journey, and one I think a lot of us can get a lot out of. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce Bob. Hey, Bob.
Hiya, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad. You well?
Very well, thank you.
Good. So I'm just going to hand over the mic to you. So if you could just give a short introduction to yourself. A little bit about where you've come from, your little journey, and then we'll go into the conversation from there.
Okay. Well, name's Bob Chhatwal. Was a consumer electronics retailer many years ago. Started when I was about 22. Ventured into face-to-face retail, then moved on to corporate work and built my business up to a level where I enjoyed it to a very large extent, and then got to a point where I felt I need to move on. I've achieved success in this area, and the success has given me an opportunity to now venture into other areas which I really enjoy. For example, comedy and spending time with my family.
Yeah, perfect. Now, you mentioned something there. So you mentioned you started at 22 years old. And now, if you think about a 22-year-old today, most 22-year-olds I know can't even tie their own shoelaces at the moment, and then you've taken on, and it was a similar time. I started my business at 22 as well. And I felt like I was ready. I felt like I could do it. And I felt mature enough that I could try and step into my own path. So someone who's looking to step into their own journey or onto their own path, and are thinking maybe, I'm especially now we're in a lockdown situation, right? So a lot of people are in a stressful situation. They may be panicking about their work, whether they've got work or not. And I always said everyone has a skill, and that skill, if they can help someone else, that essentially is what a business is, right? It's just an understanding of something more than someone else, and then you can help someone and you get paid for it ultimately. So if someone wanted to sort of step on their path of starting their own business, what advice would you give them sort of at any stage of their life, really?
I think there is something to say about DNA within, about being a self-motivated individual. Mm-hmm. It's very, very important. Yeah. From a very young age, I knew I wanted to be successful. Whether it was in business or working for someone, I always wanted to be a success at what I did. Mm-hmm. So that was important to me. But I think you've always got to ask the question, you should never ask the question, have I got anything to do, or what else can I do, or what? It's about you creating opportunities for yourself. Yeah? Yeah. And those people who always ask, I'm bored, or I don't know what to do with my time, I don't think they're the type of people who should be going into business. Mm-hmm. What you need to be is asking a question is, how can I get to the top? What area is there an opportunity in? Yeah. And that kind of happened for us. I was actually at university when my father, he was running, I've always been involved in the family business. My father had an electrical retail shop, and I used to help him after school, weekends. A lot of my time, I didn't have that opportunity to play with friends and stuff. It was always helping my family's business. And from that very young age, I learned about dealing with people. And I realized I love having banter with people. Mm-hmm. And I also had that thing inside me about completing a deal. That really, really excited me. Not just starting a deal, but completing a deal. That was just, and I realized from a young age that that's what I really enjoyed. And I was never not confident, even at the age of 9, 10, when I was helping my dad in his shop. never had an issue of going up to customers and talking to them, having a chit chat, and actually learning about a product and then being very enthusiastic. And I think enthusiasm is really important in business. If you're not passionate about what you do, you will not pass that on to a consumer who will then not believe in you. So it's really, really important. So when I got through university, I actually got a job as a chartered surveyor, and that was at Canary Wharf. But unfortunately, the Great Recession came in 1992. So before I even had a chance to start my job, I was out of a job. And that recession affected a lot of businesses, not just the construction industry and other places, but also the retail sector. And my father had an opportunity to purchase a shop, well, lease a shop unit in Bexleyheath shopping centre, somewhere very close to us. And it was a place where 6 retailers, electrical retailers, had a very strong presence. But during that crash, 4 of those went into bankruptcy. So my dad and myself spoke about, look, there's an opportunity here. You're now out of work. The construction industry is not going to pick up for a couple of years. Would you like to take this opportunity? And I did. I was a bit worried, but I knew within myself that, you know, if I put a bit of hard work, well, not a bit, a lot of hard work in, okay, and most importantly, did what I believed in, which was a really good customer service, looking after the customer, making them a priority, I knew we could make a success of the business. So we took that massive gamble of opening this unit in Bexleyheath shopping centre. And from the outset, we were doing way above what our competitors were doing. We were out working till 9, 10 o'clock. I'm sure you can resonate with this. We would go beyond what we had to do. Customers had a problem, we would just go out there. There were no service charges, anything. Everything was on the house. But you wanted to put that investment in because you knew it would reap benefits later on down the road. So you've got to put a lot of hard work in. But the basic thing was that I knew I could sell. I knew I was prepared to do hard work. The timing was right. That the recession had come and look, we've got an opportunity here. We haven't incurred huge costs. We're now in a place where we can grow from this position. And obviously, every businessman will tell you, you need a bit of luck. But you make your own luck as well. So it was a combination of all those 3 things. The timing it was just a perfect storm. And I knew I had the ability. I believed in myself that I could run a store and provide something that my competitors couldn't.
I think it's interesting, your journey, because it's almost like I'm talking when I heard your story about you know, going to the shop because your dad had a shop, and that was exactly my story in terms of every Saturday we weren't allowed to go to town, we weren't allowed to hang out with friends, we had to go shop. Even if there was nothing to do, you'd come to the shop. It was funny because me and my brother used to go, and half day we just sit and just we didn't really do much, but he'd tell us, okay, do this and clean this and make this stand or make this cabinet for a TV. And you know, that's how but the most important thing for him was he wanted us to understand that this is what I do. This is what work is. You know, you see me leaving the house in the day, you see me coming back at night, we don't know anything about how I live my life. So therefore, all the things that I built around us, so we have a house, we never want for anything. This doesn't just come from a whim, it comes from working hard. And therefore, he wanted us not to be in that, oh, you just go and hang around with your friends, it'll be fine, everything else will happen. Whether that's right or wrong, you know, it's his way of showing us what he did. And then we learned, then when we started driving, he'd send us out to customers' houses, go and pick this TV up, work this out, do all this. And exactly like what you said.
Well, you are learning so many skill sets without you even knowing it. And what your father's done, my father did for me, was that he allowed me, without lecturing me, he allowed me to see what he'd done and actually gain a respect for what he did. Without telling me I should be respecting him because I'm bringing money in and it's paying for this. I didn't need that lecture. I could see what he was doing. And actually, and then it's a mutual respect. You get a respect for what they're doing and how hard they're working. And I think that work ethic is so important. And unfortunately, some of it's been lost on the next generation. But we definitely saw a generation that worked extremely hard.
And you are the same as me. So we are, the bridging generation to the next generation. So we live with our parents who are first generation here. They came with very little, if anything. They literally just kept their head down and they only knew one thing, which is graft. We'll work a way out. We'll know. We have faith and we have, that risk-taking ability that we'll give it a go. And we're in a country where no one really wants us. We don't really speak the language, but we'll just carve out our own little sector and use our family bonds to keep us strong, but then have that risk-taking ability to say, I'm just going to give this a go because I know I believe in myself. I believe in the hard work I'm going to put in, and it can only work because I don't have a plan B. I only have a plan A.
Exactly.
And that respect I have for that generation is so strong. And I would never knock anyone of that generation, even though some of the stuff that sometimes my dad says to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But there will always be a respect for the journey that they've trod so that we can live in the way we live and have the choices we have. So our next generation will have even more opportunities and choices than we've even had. And whether that's a good thing or not a good thing, I'm not sure right now. I just know that we are standing on the shoulder of giants. That generation and that generation were...
They provided a really great foundation.
100%. And that foundation, I think, has given us the life we have. And that's why I always feel blessed and grateful for everything I have, because I know I have a built-in ethic that even if shit hit the fan and everything went balls up, I know I'm not going that far because there's so many good people around me to lift me up, hold me up and say, Bob, you good? Let's move on. And I know you have done, I've always seen you with that because, one thing I admire about you, Bob, is that you always take life quite lightly, even though you can come across quite seriously like you have at the start now. You are a funny guy. And I remember meeting you. I actually remember the day I met you, Bob, and it was in Portugal, I think it was, when we went on the trade show with Sony. And I think I sat near you on the plane, and as we were walking to pick up our luggage, you literally turned around and said, "Hi, I'm Bob." And I found that quite interesting because I didn't really know anyone because I'd just come into the industry at that point. And I think we sat together on the bus and we just talked, and then we spent most of that trip together with Jason and George as well. And then just you introduced me to all the old school dealers and stuff. And I always felt quite warm with you because I felt that even though you had your head screwed on in business, in life you were, it was all about just having fun, just having a life, enjoying your life.
Yeah, that's always been my philosophy.
And I think so therefore, do you know the thinking when you finished your business? So you finished in the home entertainment, your consumer electronics business. What was your thinking? So you decided that maybe I've walked this path as long as I want to, and now I want to do something else. What was you thinking at that stage?
So from a very young age, I always had a number in my mind when I wanted to get out of a business. I wanted to work extremely hard, and I had a number in my mind and it was 40. I wanted to work hard till I was 40 and then do something else. Mm-hmm. I've looked at the older generation who, like you say, you can't knock them. They work so hard, but they also, on the other hand, they don't know when to stop.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate. A lot of them have never been able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be in that situation. And it's that, and I've said this to you before, it can only be a point where you can eat one meal a day or drive one car and so forth. So I thought, let's just really work hard for the next 20 years. As you know, I got involved. Retail was interesting to me for a little while. And then I saw the sea changing, and I saw that consumers were moving more to the internet, and then not necessarily appreciating customer service as much, but price was king. Yeah. And it was at that point that I looked, and I was quite fortunate actually. We were near Woolwich Insurance Services. Their head office was next to fairly near to my store. And it just so happened one day that the CEO walked into our store. We gave him great customer service. We never knew who he was. Delivered his products, installed them. So impressed. Then he took us on board as a replacement agent for them. And we got heavily involved in insurance replacement work. And that took us away from retail. And they appreciated customer service. and we became one of the leading companies in the insurance replacement market. And that gave me an opportunity a platform to go further afield with corporate work, B2B work, and we were involved with the Olympics. We were involved with kitting out a lot of large retailers like Paddy Power. So lots of doors opened up, but it was the fact that we were thinking beyond. We were evolving as a business, but also thinking way ahead in terms of where's the market going, and moving on from that, and how we can stay ahead of that.
Yeah.
We never got involved with the internet, so we maintained relationships with dealers. Like, I know you said, like, I met you on dealer trips and stuff. I was never directly in competition with my peers. We were doing something off the scale, and that's why I think we got on with a lot of dealers in the sense we never rubbed anyone up the wrong way. But I knew at that point then, so I worked, and I got to a point where we had built that business up to a really good level. And but one thing definitely did, I got to a point where I was about 35, 38, around that time, where I was spending about 14, 15 hours a day on my mobile phone, doing deals and talking to people, and I forgot everything else that was back at home. And I realized that I wasn't spending any time with my kids. And so it hit me about 40, and I thought, look, I had this dream many, many years ago that I'd give up work and do something else. Well, at that point, I realized I actually want to spend a lot more time with my kids, my family. So again, luck and everything else, we were able to sell all of our contracts to the highest bidder, and we got out of the business. It was a godsend because the industry was changing dramatically. Even insurance business was now going online. So price was becoming king in that field as well. And it was just pure timing and luck that we managed to get out at a time when product prices were dropping. There was no value left in products. And we got out at the right time, and I've never looked back from that point. And the next 4 or 5 years, I spent doing what most people might think is boring, but I was dropping my kids off to school, picking them up, spending many, many hours with them. My daughter, as I told you before, she played golf to a very high level. I was caddying for her for a good number of years while she was playing golf. And I can't put a value on that. I can't. And it's actually exactly what I envisaged, what I wanted to do. Have that time, have that autonomy. You know, the fact that you've had success in your business, that gives you the choices in life to do what you want to pursue. A lot of people don't take those opportunities. They continue to grow their money, keep on growing and growing and growing, but they don't know when to stop and then say, look, how can I utilize this now? How can I spend this time? And for me, another magic moment was when I met an extremely wealthy man. I sat in a room with him, and he said to me, the difference between you and me, Bob, is that I've got lots and lots of money, but what you've got, what you created, is memories with your kids. Because I cannot sit with my kids now in a room and have a conversation, because all I was doing was working. And I would pay for them to go on great holidays, but I actually never went on holiday with them. I don't have anything to share with them. All these things, you know, they all gave me an opportunity. All these things just made me think about what I need to be doing in my life when I'm still young enough to enjoy my kids, still young enough to do loads of different things with them. And also, look, we've all been put in a situation, I have no regrets about going into business. I think it's been the best thing we've ever done. And you know, we've enjoyed some amazing trips. Courtesy of the manufacturers. You couldn't write down the fact that we've had all these amazing trips, amazing opportunities in life. But there comes a point where you want to now do stuff for yourself. I've kind of respected my father. He wanted me to go in business with him. I've done that. And I've honored all of that, but I'm now doing stuff that I want to do. My dad didn't have that opportunity because he had to work, like you said, in that generation. If we've been given an opportunity to do something and spend time with our kids, we should take it.
I think that's so inspiring, because only when we see the path of others and the decision that others have made, at that point, Bob, even when your business, when you decided to, that, that was enough, the energy had run out, and you decided, it's time to move on, because really I'm not being the best version of myself in that for people around me as well as myself. So it's time to move on. A lot of people may continue and think, I just have to carry on. And a lot of people say, maybe I don't, it's a gamble as well. It's a gamble starting, but it's a gamble ending as well, right? Because
I'm scared to change, Bhavit. People are just so used to a routine, and scared about change.
Yeah.
The only way you can challenge yourself is to change, to evolve.
Yeah. And I think that journey of evolving and changing, only when you know yourself well enough, though. We can be pulled apart. When we're younger, there's so many times that we can be influenced by people around us, by things around us, and, information. And that's why I feel quite wary of this, the next generation coming through, because there's so much information, the internet, social media, and their brains can't process it like we've been allowed to grow up organically. We didn't have that whole sphere of, information, social media, technology, etc. We had our friends, and we had our parents, and we had the people around us. That's it. We had a bit of TV, maybe 3 channels, 4 channels. That's it. So we were allowed to make the mistakes slowly, grow slowly, and then develop our brain to a way where we can, have perspective. I think now, a 14-year-old having the information they have at the fingertip is tough, because they don't know how to process this information, right? And therefore, how do they define who they are as a person without growing organic? It's like we grew on organic soil. They're growing on steroid-based fertilizer soil. They're just growing so quick. It's like my 9-year-old son. The things he can do, I don't think as a 9-year-old I even knew what they were. He was using your Photoshop, he's coding, he's playing PlayStation, and I'm like, it's so quick now, right? So therefore, because we were allowed to grow up organically, I think we got to, you being at an age of 40, you knew yourself. You'd made the mistakes, you'd seen life in a certain way, and you could really say, actually, this is me now. This is what makes me happy. And anyway, I've done my graft, I've done my tour, I've done my time, in effect. So now it's me time. For me to be, like you said, you didn't see your kids grow up, and then you said, what's the most important? And the way why I find that quite inspirational is because if a lot of people want to affect the world, they want to change the world, so they want to look at climate change, you want to look at recycling, you want to, give back somehow, charity. But the best way I feel you can do that is raise your kids well. Because if you raise your kids well, they're the ones that are going into that generation, and they'll be influencing the people around them. So if we can use our life to invest in them, and then invest in those things as a secondary, if we have the time to do that, for me, that creates a balance. And similar to you, this lockdown's been really good for me to spend time with my kids, and make that choice. Actually, I'm not going to work so much. I'm just going to get to know them. A few years ago, I felt a bit like an alien as a dad. I could spend time with them. I didn't really know them. And now I said, that's not right. I felt I was almost repeating what my dad had done. Because we didn't know my dad for years until probably 20 odd. Even though we spent time with him on a business sense, we didn't spend time with him person. We didn't know really him as a person. And it's only these years since he's retired that we have. So moving forward from there, I know you've moved into a real different sector now. So you've gone into sort of comedy and stand-up comedy. So can you give me a little bit of sort of insight into that? Because I find that quite interesting, to be honest.
Okay, so as you know, I'm not a very serious person.
Yeah, and that's why I've been surprised that you're not.
I'm trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it together for the sake of this interview for you. It must be bloody difficult. There's so many Patel jokes coming in my head, right? and I'm not saying a thing, but you are quite generous. So comedy, I've always loved a little bit of banter. I've even during my business years, I mean, you've dealt with reps from companies, Samsung, Sony, whoever, and I think it's really, really important, right, to have that rapport with people, and you can break down so many barriers by making people laugh, and it's always worked for me. I used to spend 90% of my meetings just having a laugh with my reps or even clients.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just the ordinary punter. We're talking about board directors of Woolwich or Barclays. If you can break down a lot of barriers by breaking the ice with a joke, just having a laugh and talking about normal things.
Yeah.
So that's always been part of my makeup, and I've loved trying to laugh at lots of different things and trying to make people laugh. And actually, I can take it as well. Yeah. I don't give out a joke. I can take it. Although my wife probably said I can't. Yeah, and I it's an old family friend who we kind of reconnected about 8 years ago. Obviously, I was busy with my business and stuff like that, but we reconnected about 8 years ago, and just took off from our childhood days. Just normal banter. He's a Liverpool supporter, I'm a Man United supporter. You know, that's a shame, but we managed to still break past that barrier. And we just had constant laughs. And what happened one day was that one very, very dear friend of mine, I've known about 30 years, a guy called Shelley Chopra, is a dentist. He preferred to do stand-up comedy than do dentistry. He was that type of guy. And we were at a meal one day. There was 10 of us sitting at a restaurant, and we were all slightly worse for wear through obviously drinking excessive milk. Basically, one of the guys who was a banker said that stand-up comedy is easy. And so my friend got irate and said, really? Banking's easy as well. Making money is easy. And it all kicked off in a nice way. Yeah. And he then, mid-flow, he basically challenged us, all of us, to do 1 minute stand-up with him in his next show.
Okay.
2 hours later, while this conversation was still kind of in the air, and everyone was completely milked up, there was only one mug left who said, yeah, I'll still do it, whereas everyone else had backed out. Yeah. And so I got roped in doing a stand-up, 1 minute stand-up at his next show. I was too scared to do it on my own. And I then decided to rope my mate in. And we performed in front of 200 people, 200 of our actual friends, at a venue in London. I had, I think, 8 bottles of milk before I went on stage because I was so nervous. And it turned out to be a 10-minute set. And for some reason, people laughed at us. Now, we don't know whether they were laughing at us or with us. I don't know. But anyway, it worked out really well. Yeah. And we thought, hey, we are actually funny. And people find us funny. And so we just decided to do a show ourselves. It was nuts. And it just took off from there. And again, luck, timing, you know, whatever you want to say, we were in the right place. A promoter saw us perform, was impressed, and decided to take us on a UK tour. So 1 year, we're performing in front of 200 of our mates. The following year, we're performing in front of sellout crowds around the country. Right. And we kept on pinching ourselves. And we actually had 600 people turn up to a show in Harrow, at the Harrow Arts Centre. Yeah, yeah. Absolute nuts. Absolute nuts. And we couldn't believe it.
And one thing I'll never forget, Bob, is, and I'll never forgive, when you came to Leicester, you told me on the day, and I was like, mate, you could have given me a little more notice, because I know you came to Leicester to do a show, and I would have loved to have come, but I think something was, I was already planned in.
I think you were drying your hair.
But I would have loved to come, and, you know, next time you have one, I'll definitely be up for that once this all sort of like changes. But what I really liked about that story is because you were being your authentic self. You weren't trying to be, you never said, let me just step into this stand-up comedian thing. Let me work this out. I think it was almost like, let me just give it a go. Let me see how it happens. And I think so much of life can be like that if we just allow ourselves to let go. You know, whether it be setting up business, whether it be, you know, going abroad to work, whether it be just going on holiday, maybe whether be meeting up with someone that you've not seen for a while. It can be just a case of, let me just give it a go. Why not?
Challenge yourself. But at the same time, when you take on a challenge, make sure you enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
Don't get so stressed about it that you don't then enjoy it. There's no point in doing something new if you're not going to enjoy it. And like you said previously, if you work hard and you actually give 150% to what you're doing, it will pay off eventually.
Yeah.
It will definitely pay off.
And I think it's building that skill of patience, isn't it? Patience, discipline, and focus. Just keep those things in mind, but also understand that if, like you said, if there's no enjoyment, how are you being the best person you can for anyone? If you're miserable, everyone around you can be miserable because you're miserable. And I think we are a mirror to our own environment. So if we want to see more happiness, we need to be happy first. If we want to be more giving, if we want to see more giving, we give more first, right? If we want to see misery, be more miserable yourself. And that, I noticed that. And that's what gives me, a mindset to say, always try and stay a bit positive. Even when shit hits the fan, the rain's going to stop at some point. The sun's just behind it. Just keep going. And most things always work themselves out. I found that if you just let them go and say, actually, what am I meant to be learning from this? I'm going through this dark time.
This is one thing I noticed about you straight away, Babik, and thanks for the £5 note anyway. So I will say something nice about you now. You have a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy, and you know what? That does rub off on other people. And I think that's the difference between us guys as well, that we're very enthusiastic, very positive about what we're going to do. And that resonated through the comedy as well. We were so positive about what we wanted to do with this thing. Start putting shows together and stuff. And the other comedians also felt there was a buzz there. This is going to be a good thing. We managed to get on board some very, very famous comedians like Tez Ilyas.
Yeah. I went to see him.
Yeah, and Sindhu V.
Yep.
Yeah, so they've all been, and they actually wanted to perform at our shows because they felt that there was definitely a buzz. There was definitely something very positive and fresh about what we were doing. And they could see that we were really enthusiastic about it. Really enthusiastic.
And I believe that wholeheartedly in terms of, this thing called energy that's around us. We vibrate at a certain level, and if we're happy, we vibrate at a certain level, and we attract that towards us. So likewise, if we're low and we're down and we're sad, that's what we attract, and that's what comes towards us. And that's what we see as well. So it's not just a case of actually being it ourselves, but we see that around us. And it's almost like understanding there's always going to be obstacles, there's always going to be hurdles with anything. But it's how you see them. What is this, what is it trying to teach me? What do I need to learn by this obstacle being in front of me? Not, oh, my life is shit because I've got this obstacle, that obstacle. Actually, I'm meant to learn something. This person's been put in front of me for me to learn something. Or this opportunity, which can be a negative opportunity and an obstacle, isn't it? Like the reverse of opportunity is obstacle. And an obstacle, all it is just an opportunity in reverse. You can turn the obstacle into an opportunity.
You need to learn how to get over that obstacle or around that obstacle, whatever you need to do.
One way, you just have to just get through it. Because the other side is so much more than what's before it, right? And it's so, I do sort of mentoring and coaching with young people. So they might say young, sort of 18 to 21. And my message is always one thing, is just believe in yourself. Somehow, if you build up your environment that no one believes in, so what I mean by that, if there's everyone around you saying, don't do it, what gives you the right to do that? Or everything around you tells you I'm too young, or I don't have experience, or I'm Indian, or whatever it is, these things that we have, or these masks that we wear, drown out that noise. Drown that noise out, and then start surrounding yourself with the noises you need to hear, which is, which other Indian people are doing this? What other people my age have even done more than what I have? And when you start looking at that, when you start seeing that in your world, you can only move forward in a positive way. You'll always have people around you that try and pull you down because it's safe for them. It's safe for them that you stay in your box so they can stay in their box. When you start peeping out of your box and trying to move out, people will try and grab your leg and pull you down because they don't want to do it themselves. They don't have the confidence and the ability So therefore, they don't want you to see you doing it because it shows them up more. It shows their insecurities even more. So it's always important that I be the light for them. And even doing stuff like this, having conversations with people like you, I want to highlight the people in my life.
Well, because you must have noticed I look slightly different to the norm, yeah? And not just about my weight, Bhavik, okay? Not about my weight. But you know what? That's never actually I've never felt that's hindered me in any way. Never. And it's interesting, people spend thousands and thousands of pounds on their identity and how they can walk into a room and how will they be remembered and, how can they leave a lasting impression? I embrace what I am. I wear a turban, right? And do you know what? I don't wear a black turban. I wear a pink or blue or this. And I embrace everything. And I want people to remember me. But I have to also make sure that when I leave an impression, it's got to be a positive one. People will remember me. They will remember me because that's Bob, the guy with the turban, the colourful turban, yeah? So I can't, but they'll also remember me if I do something very, very wrong. Yeah. So you've got to be very careful, but you need to be confident. As you know, in our industry 20 years ago, it was tough. Yeah. People to do well. Tough people to do well. Let's not mix our words here. Yeah. But we used to walk into rooms and you think, hold on, I'm the only one here who's got a different colour skin. But the thing is, if you talk sense, and you're not conscious about who you are, and you believe in yourself, people will slowly and suddenly change their views on you. Yeah. And I know you've done that in your industry. You've excelled within the Sky format, whatever you did. You've done so well. It's a tough industry, You made a name for yourself. You were young when you did it. Yeah. Not only that, you're an Asian guy, young, and you've got to a point. I was addressing the CEO of Barclays. Yeah. And I worried about going to present to the board. Yeah. Yeah. But then I thought, no, look, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. A great example of this where I hired a guy because I thought maybe I'd need to have someone else there, maybe because he might fit in with the rest of the guys. Yeah. Anyway, we walked into a presentation. This was with Aviva, the insurance company. And my colleague, Phil, carried out was supposed to carry out a 1 hour presentation. He had prepared for this for a whole week about our business and how we could help Aviva and so forth. Yeah. Well, within about 5 minutes of the presentation starting, the CEO rolled up his sleeves and said to me, he goes, I've seen all this before. Impress me. And my guy didn't know what to do. Yeah. And all he wanted to do was talk face to face, right? Yeah. Our business and what we could do for it. And he wanted to know what we were truly about. Yeah. I spent the next 2.5 hours in a meeting with a guy. We were talking from golf to this, to that, loads of different things. Yeah. And he wanted straight talking. Yeah. And then I forgot anything about my, limitations, or if I had any limitations, I forgot about those. I forget, they must have forgotten everything else. We were just talking non-stop. There's 4 or 5 other directors there, my colleague. They were all just watching us having this conversation about business, about other things. And so barriers are broken down if you have that confidence within you of knowing what you're doing. Yeah. Go into a room, have the knowledge, and people will respect you for that. And there's, we talk about outward appearance here, right? So you straight away, I could look at you and say, okay, you wear a turban, you've got a beard, you wear glasses, you're not the sinister blokes, right? And they could be seen as barriers straight off. So I'm not going to your camera, Bhavik. Must be your camera.
And see, one hurdle that I've already over because I'm pretty good looking and you're not. So that's a fifth barrier that you've got over. Do you know what I mean?
And give me the name of your Botox.
So, in terms of, I
can't tell whether you're smiling or not.
So all of these can be seen as barriers by anyone, right? Any little thing to say, I've got a little pimple on my chest that no one can see, but that I don't like it. And because I don't like, I'm not going to go into that room or go to the beach and enjoy myself because I don't like that, you know. And that whole thing about building your self-belief and your own confidence yourself. I think a good way to start is just asking other people, what do you see in me? Because so many other people see something in you that you don't see yourself, right? A lot of the time. They'll say to you, Bob, you're like this, you're like that. You're like, oh, is that how I come across? Because in your own head, you might have this whole world built up. Oh, Bob, Babik's like this, or Bob, I'm like this. And I think I'm pretty confident. I speak well. And they'll tell you, actually, you know what it is? It's not none of those things. It's just the way you smile. That's what breaks it down, you know? And they can tell you that. I've not even thought of that. And that having that perspective, but it's then having the, first of all, not the ability, but the confidence to have the people around you that will be truthful to you, that will not, like just tell you things for the sake of telling you things, but be honest with you. And I think that, again, takes time because you need to be honest with the people around you for them to be honest with you. And it has to be a two-way relationship where you invest in them and they invest in you. And I think the whole of life, and whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, whether it be your business, whatever it is, people and people is what it's about, right? It's when they say the analogy, people buy from people. People don't buy from a company, they buy because I liked him. I had a good feeling about him. Not it was Coles or it was Comet or it was, EDC or whatever it was. It was, I like Bob, so I want to buy from Bob. And that energy comes together, right? And I think I've always known that as someone in business, you always have to be like a chameleon sometimes. You have to know within 3 seconds how to talk to someone, whether they want you to be technical, whether they want you to have a joke, whether they want you to be quiet, whether they want you to talk a lot. Bob, you've learned this, right?
So true.
Within 3 seconds, even when they walk up to you, you have to know this is how I need to be with this guy, right? And that ability, and I don't think you can learn this. It's just, you just have to keep doing it. It's instinct. It is instinct. And I think that's where the success for me, the success in business has come because of that. And that has then related to life as well. And because you're like that in life, your business life, you're one person. You're not trying to be someone else that you're not, because that's then an acting in the game. And it's so true what you say, that confidence comes through because you believe in yourself. And even if you make a mistake, you can hold your hands up and say, I really don't know. I don't know, but I can find out for sure. And that honesty, I think, helps people as well, right?
Definitely applies it in a professional manner, but also, you make a fool of yourself, make sure you laugh about it.
Yeah.
Learn to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
Too many people take themselves seriously. Don't take yourself seriously, but also with business, it is so true what you've just said about instinct, about knowing how to deal with people. Some people come in and, like I explained to you before, I would spend 90% of my time having a laugh with my reps, and 10% business.
Yeah.
And you build that relationship up.
I read this article once about people that, fears, when people have fears, right? And I think a bigger fear than death is public speaking, right? That apparently was number one. So for you to then choose what you've chosen, like the comedy scene, to be upstage and be in front of people, and almost comedy, I think, is even more cutthroat than just public speaking, right?
It is. You don't get a laugh within the first 15, 20 seconds. I mean, it's a very...
It goes into overdrive, right?
Yeah. It's a long...
And, there's a muscle in your head which that I can come out with something. I know you, Bob, and you're quite quick-witted. There's a speed your brain works at to respond to certain things. And if that is not, maybe you sort of drop 2 or 3 things, and maybe if they didn't hit home, it's like a muscle that you're building on the go. Say, okay, what do I do next? How do I work this out? What do I do with this, right? And that whole...
It doesn't quite necessarily work with you now, Babik, because you seem to think actually ahead, and you know what I'm going to say, and that's the annoying thing. And that's why I don't spend much time with you now.
Like I said, it's just a muscle I've had to build, because I was always the quiet one. And sometimes to hear my voice, especially by my sisters and my dads, I had to then work out that I need to be quicker off the draw here, because they're just going to kill me every single time, right? And that was where I got to this stage where I can literally, whether it be a 7-year-old child or a 75-year-old man or, someone your age of like 90, if we can have this conversation and still be able to relate to you, right?
But has no one ever told you you're now really annoying?
All the time. But like you said, Bob, we have thick skins, right? Sometimes we don't hear it.
It's past 45 minutes now.
All right, so looking forward to the future now. What kind of experiences have you not had yet? Because I know you've done some really interesting, some crazy stuff, and you've really lived your life. Even though you've had a busy, you've lived your life. What experiences do you think you'd still like to have, sort of moving forward, that you've not had yet?
I don't know whether I can say it on this.
Of course you can. Whatever you want to say, no problem at all.
No, unfortunately, I'm happily married now, so I can't really.
But, it's funny how you said happily and married together. Sometimes happy.
I hope you've edited that. It's about 2 hours apart. But no, I think I just want to travel a lot more.
Yeah. What kind of places would you still got to see?
I like doing adventurous holidays.
Okay.
Last year we went to Croatia.
Okay.
We did a fantastic adventure holiday.
Yep.
We did extreme canyoning, which was superb.
Perfect.
Stuff like that with my kids.
Yeah.
Just spending a lot more time with my kids. My daughter is now 21. My son is 18. That's just fantastic in itself because we can now have conversations that we never could before.
Yeah.
I feel like I could go out for a drink with my daughter or my son now and have a right laugh with them, and I love that. I actually love that.
Yeah.
And we have good conversation around the table. So yeah, spending more time doing more proactive stuff. I've got an ambition to visit some of the major golf courses in the world and play on those.
Yeah.
Definitely pursuing the comedy side. I'm currently writing a book, a comedy.
Perfect.
So that'd be amazing if I can actually get it published.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
If you sat there long enough to concentrate on it, it's another thing as well, right?
That's the problem, yeah. And if I didn't get disturbed by people wanting to have interviews with me, because that's another 45 minutes wasted. But no, just carry on enjoying myself. I just want to embrace everything. And even this lockdown, like you talk about having. I know it's tough for a lot of people, but I have absolutely loved spending time with my kids, even more so. They're not at uni, they're not at school. So we've all had to spend a lot of time together. We've all been doing a lot of housework in terms of painting, being quite adventurous. I've had my nephew staying over with me, which has been brilliant. So we've had a house full, but we've all had a laugh and been very creative. I'm sure you have in the evenings. Yeah. There's a point where you get fed up with Netflix, and then you decide you want to do some other stuff. And the kids have been entertaining in terms of, they've been doing a bit of stand-up. They've been telling us funny stories, uni time. We've been playing games, all those sort of things. You've been creative. And there's lots of amazing stuff you can do now with your friends over Zoom. Pictionary, lots of interesting stuff. And I think it's actually brought people together.
I think so. And it's another time where you have a choice, right? You can go one way or the other. One way is you become more detached because you now have an excuse, or you say, actually, I now have to start adapting my thinking. So even the video calling, so even doing this kind of thing, I was never comfortable doing video calls. I don't know why. I just had this thing about when you talk to someone, I didn't mind talking on the phone or talking face to face, but that hybrid of seeing someone on the screen and talking to them, I found a bit odd because I wasn't sure. Yeah, and then when this actually happened, and the only way I could communicate with my parents or with my sister or our family was something like this, because we were forced to do it. I then thought, this is how I've been limiting myself. Like, it's like even my dad, he's not very technology savvy, but even he's like, this is fantastic, to even for that generation to even think that this is actually.
No, it's amazing how that generation's now embraced all of this. WhatsApp, video call. FaceTime, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And,
I can understand why you've never really embraced it that much. You've got a face for radio, haven't you? More so. But,
a face for radio and a voice for TV, I think. That's So, and we talk about adapting our minds, because everyone's now had to adapt. We are in a new normal. I think everyone agrees with that. There's a normality that we had post 2 months ago has now changed. The bars changed, everything has changed, right? So we can either see that as, I like my life before, so I'm just going to go into depression wishing it was there, or I'm going to say, actually, because I'm a human being and this is how humans have survived for the last 2 million years, we just adapt, grow, and then take on the new challenges that this new world brings us. And it will bring, the ones that take the opportunity will thrive, and the ones that hide and then try and avoid it and say, let me try and live like I did post 2 months ago, will unfortunately drown probably at some point. And if we don't use this time
everyone needs to appreciate what they did have.
Yeah.
I think the human race was taking liberties.
Yeah.
What they had. And I think this has given us all a greater appreciation of life. I think now coming out of lockdown, I think whatever you do now, whatever opportunity you get, you need to really embrace it, because none of us want to go back to the way it's been. And look at, like you say, there's lots of opportunities for entrepreneurs now to come out of this. I know people have now switched their manufacturing from, say, glass production to plastic counter protection now. It's about being versatile, isn't it? And looking at a situation. And how many people like yourself now have gone online, doing podcasts and stuff, opening yourself up to a lot more people. And that's something to be applauded, that the versatility, the adaptation of some people in desperate times or situations that are a little bit precarious. And you see the people, like you said, I've noticed this actually among some of my friends. Some of them have shut up shop and just got slightly depressed and going, oh, what the hell, what the hell, what the hell. And there's others who have really embraced it and said, look, come on, guys. And then you see the ones that you'd want to take on a deserted island, or if there was a massive problem happening, who would you take as your team?
Yeah.
You see the people who are motivated. You start the Zoom conversations every other day. Right? Let's get together, have a conversation. Let's play Pictionary. Let's do something constructive with all the families. Okay, we can't be together, but we can still be together in a different manner. And they're the people that you want to be around. Not the people who shut up shop and go, this is bad. And literally every day they're saying to you, hi, it's just, I can't handle this, and they start impersonating an old lady. RPG.
And for me, it's, if we see something as a problem, it is. The way I like to see a problem is a puzzle. Rather than saying problems, call it a puzzle. Because a puzzle, the brain works out a way to solve a puzzle. Whereas a problem is just a negative drawn energy towards you that you can almost say it's outside of me. Because it's outside of me, there's nothing I can do about it. The government owes me this. The people around me owe this. My staff owe me this. My customers owe me this. Look at all the stuff I've done. But no one owes you shit. The only person that owes you something is yourself. You have to say, how can I be the best person I can for all the people around me? That means I have to have strength and I have to think outside the box. It's not going to be fucking easy. But I know that there's been situations in the 1800s when a tiger would be chasing me and I'd work that stuff out. Now there's no tiger chasing us. There's an email chasing us from a customer, and it's the same energy that's going into it, right? So if we can't, and another reason I started this was I'm so aware of positive environment, having conversations that move people, right? And surrounding yourself with an energy that is one that draws goodness out of you and that makes you feel that life is worth living, but also everything is possible. And when the conversation I have with you today, Bob, and recording it is so important people hear this, because this is just me and you talking. This is our life, right? We've not scripted this. And we've not said, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. Let's just have a free-flow conversation, right? And when you can have this with 20 people around you, and that's all you know, the conversation of down and dry, you don't need to know about that. You don't need to watch the news anymore, because actually it's not going to serve you. What's going to serve you is that light. It's all around you. It's whether you choose to see it or not.
You speak to a lot of people, Barak. You must have noticed that a lot of the entrepreneurs are coping with this lockdown better than others.
Yeah.
Because we've had to do it throughout all of our lives. When we've come up with that challenge, when we've had a competitor open up next door to us, what the hell do we do? Yeah, there's always a challenge, and the ones who have been successful have overcome those challenges. And that's why, for me, this lockdown has not been an issue. For you, it's not been an issue. You've looked at it and go, right, how can I adapt to this? But throughout all of our business lives, we've always had challenges. Customers complaining, how can we deal with this? Oh my God, this is the end of the world. We've got a guy who's going to complain in the shop, and what the hell? But you can pacify them by handling the situation, or you can run away from it. You have some staff members who will run away from the problem. They don't want to deal with it, but you'll notice some of the others who go take them to one side and say, look, how can I resolve this thing? That's exactly what we're doing. These are the people you see now in this lockdown. I see it. There's some people who are just there's other people who are trying to get really fit. Taking this opportunity to get really fit. There's other people who are getting down, look, I've now got time to spend with my kids. Let's do something different with them. There's other people going, look, I've been working 9 till 7 every day. I never get time to redo the house up. Because I'd like to spend when I'm working, my weekends are now for socializing. But now they've got time at home. They're now rearranging their houses, cleaning them, seeing different things. It's how you use this time.
100%. And like you said, it's giving you perspective on your own life, letting you take a step back and saying, what's important to me? If it's important to you, how do I shape my life coming out of this? Because no one's going to be the same. And I can almost see you're either gonna embrace this time, or you're gonna say, I wish it was like it was before, but it's not. So now we need to work out what's good and how we're gonna move forward. Some people adapted that quickly, like I adapted to it quickly. First few days, it was like, shit, what am I doing? But it's a case of, well, I can't control anything outside of me. I can just control my reaction to it, or what I do. That's all I can do, nothing else. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and embrace that. And now coming out, 7-8 weeks in, I'm thinking my life is not going to be the same, and it's not going to be the same for the right reasons. Why do I need to work so much? I don't. Why do I need to earn money the way I did? I don't. That's the real answer. It's only this cushion of time which has allowed me to have that perspective. And also the decisions I made 10 years ago, 5 years ago, where I invested in a lot of things, where I can now have that little security side where I'm not panicking. I'm not thinking I need to earn money, And I'm glad those decisions made. Something I find quite interesting from what you said and how you've changed your life, Bob, is what allowed you to do that is not the day before you decided, but all the things you put in place 5 years before that, 10 years before that, where you made decisions. You made those decisions which then allowed you to have a certain level of knowledge, which allowed you to have a life you have today. The life you have today is not based on what you decided yesterday, it's what you decided 20 years ago. And it allowed you to take that step back and say, actually, I don't want my life to be like this. And anyone who wants their life to be a certain way, in the next 5 years, say, what do I need to start doing today? What do I need to start doing today to see my life like that? And if you don't have that knowledge, gain that knowledge to make those decisions to change your life. And that way, you will 100% see it if you just focus on it and say, these are all the things that I need to do to make that happen, right?
But Babak, the other important thing is, okay, we've all worked hard, but you've got to enjoy the journey while you're doing it. Don't say, you set yourself a target and you're just so focused on it and that's it. There's nothing else. You've got to enjoy it as well. So,
and it's almost like you'll get there and it's irrelevant at that stage because of the person you've turned into on the way. It's not, like you said, it's not the goal, it's the person you become, right? And the person you become, you can look back at that yourself, the 5 years ago where you made that decision, and thank that person that it's allowed you to be the person you have today, right?
Yeah, I look back and think, God, geez, I worked really hard. I did work hard, and thanks very much. But yeah.
Right, so Bob, what I'm doing, I'm going to start wrapping this up because I could talk to you all day in this conversation. You know, I love these conversations because they just play out the way they're meant to play out. And like I said before we even started, I want this to reach all the people it needs to reach to help them. So, yeah, a couple of last things.
Bhavik, another fiver, thanks for it. Yeah, I feel the same way, Bhavik.
Very good. Right. So now we're on. I just want people to understand a little bit more about you. Okay. So you're now on your last days. You're in your last energy source. You're 150 years old, which is a couple of years from now, and you're on your.
Sorry, I thought you were my doctor. Then you give me some bad news.
So you're now at the last.
Very positive of you, Bhavik. Very positive. I'm on my last few days.
No. Not your last few days, your last few minutes here, right?
Okay, sorry.
Right? Okay? So you don't have enough energy to speak, which I know is a shame for you because I know you like to speak. So what we've done is I've given you a pen and a piece of paper and to write down three words that have served you all your life, that you help. If other people practice these things, it will help them in their life. What do you think those three words would be for you?
Hard luck. No. Hard work. Yeah. You only want 3 words or three
analogies.
Okay.
3 words.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timing.
Yeah.
And making your luck. I think those 3 things have been very important, but also I'd like to add to that, having a very stable family background. I think that's been the backbone. Having a successful marriage is very important. Having a very, very supportive partner is very important. All these things just really help. You know that business can be stressful. Yeah. Everything can be stressful. And if you have someone who's there on the other side who understands you and understands your stresses, it makes one hell of a difference.
And it's the team you build, right? It's the team you invest around you. So your wife, like I said.
You see your team, the team that you build as your family, to be honest.
Yeah.
You shouldn't see them in any other way because, you spend so much time with them. Yeah. With my staff, we did everything together. I know you spend a lot of time with your staff, take them out. You have to respect and value them as your own family. Yeah. Because they're working hard for you.
And they're allowing you to have the life you have as well, right? Absolutely. So it's your relationships, so the people around you, so like your wife, your kids, your parents, and your extended crew. Like you said, if you have a business, your staff, and then your friends, the ones that mean something to you, which is generally on one hand, the ones that mean something to you. And then it's saying, once I've got this team set up, I am the strongest I can be, not just for them, for anyone I meet. Because if I can meet someone and have a conversation with them and their life is a little bit lighter or a little bit happier because they've spoken to me or I've been in their life, then my life has been worth it because I've shifted their thinking a little bit in whatever it is. So that's important to me as well. So I know that's important to you. So as we reach sort of the end of this conversation, I've sourced a mic, and that mic is connected to 7.58 billion people in this world. Now, everyone can hear you. Everyone can understand what you're saying. Everyone is awake, and there's no language barrier. If I gave you 30 seconds to share a message with the world, what would your message be?
Oh, God, that's a tough one, Bhavik. I'll put the volume up first. Yeah, that's important so they can really hear me. But I would just tell everyone, just have a laugh. Enjoy what you're doing. Embrace everything that you've been given. Yeah, whether it's big, small, whatever it is. Enjoy your family because they'll always be there for you. And whatever path you take in life, just have a giggle.
Yeah.
Have a giggle.
And that, being when you're enjoying your life, everyone enjoys your life with you, right?
Yeah. Take passengers.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah.
Take passengers with you.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what? There's nothing better than all your friends, not just enjoying your friends, but you want your friends to be enjoying themselves, being successful at whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Because that environment, I don't think anything can beat that environment.
Yeah. 100%. So thank you, Bob. Thank you for your time. Thank you for, being the person you are. I acknowledge the way you come out in the world. You really live your truth. Your truth is being happy, enjoying your life, and you've shaped your life that way. I admire having people like you around me because it allows me to be my truth. The imperfect version of me is enough for me and the people around me. And I think if I can continue on this path with people around you, I know I'm going to know you a long time, and I've known you a long time. Even though there's a big time when we weren't in touch, I picked up the phone and we've just carried on. And that's, to me, a sign of a good friendship. And I thank you for always being available if I do need to talk. And likewise, next time we're around and this finishes, we are going to meet up and we are going to have a glass of milk, like you said, together, right?
I feel obliged to say that I will go out with you after that.
I just turned up with.
I didn't say that.
I just turned up with 6 bowls of milk on your doorstep, and we'll all just sit there.
Can I also just point out for the viewers as well?
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic what you've done with that bookcase, because it has made you look very intellectual. Although the shirt is more suited to the 70s and an evening call rather than a daytime call. But no.
Thank you so much, Bob. And like I said, all of us smiling is how the world needs to be, right? Whatever situation anyone is in, just find happiness in whatever our life has given us. Because I believe it's all been given to us for a reason, whether it's to learn or whether it's to grow. Somehow we've been given everything we have. So thank you again so much for your time, Bob. And we will talk again soon. Thank you guys for listening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up Bob's show details on the show notes as well. So if you do want to follow whatever he wants to share with you, I'll put it down. I'll get all the details off him and put it down. Please, if he allows you to, please follow him. He's doing some fantastic stuff and he's a really good guy to know. So thank you so much. I'm just going to end the podcast with this. Big energy leads to big thoughts. Big thoughts lead to big ideas. Big ideas lead to big actions. Big actions lead to a big life. So keep thinking big. Until next time, see you later.
By not being grateful for where we are, the lessons and the journey that's brought us to this point, there's absolutely no way that we can ever be in the position where our hands are open and we're doing this and it's just pouring into us.